For far too long I've been traveling, climbing these mountains, going across plains of sand, dirt, and stone, looking, searching. Legend has it, on the top of the tallest mountain in all the land, a single gem rests upon its peak. That amongst all these games, all of these memories, this one is truly unique. Some people say it is a true treasure.
Get it? 'Cause it's a game made by Treasure. It's a pun! Oh my god, Dynamite Headdy! Oh man, have I been wanting to talk about this one. A game developed by Treasure, released in 1994 on the SEGA Megadrive, the Game Gear, and the Master System. Apparently, they planned to do one for the SEGA 32X, but cancelled it due to the system's low popularity. Or maybe they just didn't want to submit people to the Cthulhu of consoles. No! This game was weird, and I'm not talking about the normal kind of weird. I'm talking about the creepy China doll collection in the basement kind of weird, because that shit's weird. Nah man, seriously, why do you have this? I swear it moved when I looked away. That kind of weird actually fits though, considering the whole game is meant to be a big puppet show. The puppet show of death, apparently. I'll talk about it later, but you'll see what I mean as we go on. The story revolves around you, the puppet with a detachable head, trying to save the world by continuously ramming your face into the crotch of your enemies. Now that's what I call using your head. Oh, what? Come on! You should have expected some head puns. The game doesn't really explain the story very well. It just kind of throws you in and goes, hey, there's some enemies, attack them, oh my god, there's stuff going on, what's happening? I feel like we've lost something, that something is a distant memory from a previous time. Or it could be that apparently we don't care about plot, so they removed it in the English version. But here's my own take on the story so far. What the ever-loving Jesus Christ on a piece of toast in Sunnyfield is going on? Because believe me, I'd love an explanation to what is going on here. Yeah, basically I have no idea. All I really know about the plot is it revolves around Headdy. And, puns aside, he can use his head for a lot of things, like attacking enemies, or getting up to higher platforms, or collecting power-ups that help you attack things and get up to higher platforms. So when I said using his head, I didn't mean it in a punny way. Okay, well I did, but he actually attacks things, like literally attacks things with his head. You can get some pretty awesome power-ups as well, like the triple head I'm using now, a head that stops the flow of time, or my personal favorite, just a bunch of stars flying everywhere. This head is a lazy person's dream. Most of the heads offer a different way to approach a situation, giving you multiple choices on how to deal with an enemy or a platform or something the level throws at you. And most of them are really, really good, except for the heavy head. I don't have footage of that, because screw getting that, it's a piece of sh. Some of the more useful moments for these power-ups though is against the boss fights. And oh my god, the boss fights in this game range from, oh that's kinda weird, to what the fuck? No matter how weird the boss fights are, they're easily the best part of the game. They're all unique, with different looks and styles and attacks, and they're just fun. Also, the boss music for them is really, really good. Now, I could talk about them more, but if you want to find out my favorite boss from Dynamite Headdy, it happens to be in my top 5 retro bosses video just up there. You can click on that annotation and leave it open as a separate tab until after the video's done. If you get what if you're shameless self-promotion done. You know, when I think about it, I could have easily made that video just full of Dynamite Headdy bosses. I actually found out about this game by pure chance. I was over at a friend's one afternoon and whoa, what's that game you're playing? It looks really interesting. After a couple hours of play, we made it our mission to try and beat the game. But we always got caught up on one particular part. Stair Wars! By the way, this game makes puns too, it's not just me. Just to clarify, I don't exactly know why this part in particular gave us so much trouble, but this would just be the area we'd lose all our lives and give up. And if by chance we did make it past this stage, we'd die to the gatekeeper, or we'd die just by not knowing the levels. And although I'd love to give a heroic speech about how one day we finally made it past this stage and we finally managed to beat the game, I've not beaten this game yet. At all.
Until today.
To put this demon to rest, and for this Pixelated Memories episode, I decided that I was gonna beat the game. So I actually did it while recording footage for the episode, and I had even played parts of the game I had never seen in person before. But then, it reminded me of... Twin Freaks. Twin Freaks! People of my age, forgive me, for I did not know true pain. This boss is the stopping point. It's the devil! Though I will say it's actually pretty easy to deal with once you know what you're doing. The first few encounters, hell, it could be a lot of encounters. You don't know how to deal with him. I did not mean to hit that. Well, kind of meant to hit that one. Fuck, really? Really though? Twin Freaks was that boss. The boss I gave up on. It wasn't that it was too hard to beat, it just felt like the effort wasn't worth my time. And this essentially was the endgame. This was my final boss. This would be where I'd turn off the game and say, well, that was a good session, on to the next one. And in the end, what was past it was a fairly tricky platforming section, a pretty cool escape section if a little annoying at times. And honestly, a very underwhelming final boss. Look at this guy though, he looks awesome! Had there actually been a story building up to why we need to defeat this guy, it could have been epic. Otherwise, he's just kinda there, like...
Hey, Headdy, I got a smiley face on my pendant for some reason.
But I finally did it. After all these years, never seeing those credits roll. I put in my all, and I beat the game. Was it worth it though? Well, despite some of the final pieces being a little bit disappointing, fuck yeah it was! Being able to beat the game after it gave my childhood self such an interesting challenge, one that I couldn't beat back then, beating it now feels so good. Like being able to finish a chapter of my childhood that was always unfinished. And now I can safely say that I've beaten what could be one of my favourite Megadrive games ever. And in my time to actually complete the game and set up for this episode, I found out there's actually quite a bit more to the Japanese version than just the story. It's mainly visual edits, but there's some really interesting stuff in there. Trouble Brewing, or otherwise known as Maruyama, is purple instead of brown, and happy instead of angry. Because of Trouble Brewing's palette color change, other colors had to be changed from other bosses as well. And also there was a pretty big difficulty jump in the English version. Some locations and bosses in the Japanese version are way easier. Another change is... Oh, I knew it. I knew it! Ah! Yeah, I understand why this was changed. This would creep you out. The gatekeeper is a geisha instead of a happy-go-lucky robot thing, and the final boss has half of the health he has in the English version. Man, this guy cannot catch a break. There are other little changes, but this is also where we find out that Smiley is an important character. You know, in the long run, I hope more people play Dynamite Headdy because it's really a good game. It's a classic for the Megadrive. I do wish that it would have had some kind of spiritual successor in the future, but Treasure seemed to like making singular games and then moving on to the next idea. And I would have liked to have covered the other versions, but I don't own the consoles for those versions. I have a little thing where I want to own the hardware in the game for the game I'm reviewing, so... no luck, unfortunately, sorry. But that was all for this episode of Pixelated Memories. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I definitely hope you give the game a go. So until next time, I'll see you around. Hang on a minute. Actually, before I go, when I was younger, my friend's brother had a little ritual that he used to go through. So you know how you would blow games thinking that it would help them work if they didn't work the first time? Well, he kind of did something a bit different. Of course, looking back on it now, we were young and naive, so we didn't know any different, and it blew our minds. When in reality, he was probably just putting it in a little bit better and was doing something for show. But it went a little something like this. Hey, you can follow my Facebook and then not see any updates for a couple months and then suddenly get a random post out of nowhere that's about my personal life. Way! Or you could follow me on Twitter, where I blab about random bollocks and post whenever I make a video on the gaming channel. There are many different ways to support the show, but we actually have a Patreon that you can read about in the description. Any and all help is appreciated. No, but seriously, demonic possession aside, he used to rub the TV and chant some random nonsense, and we used to believe it worked. But if you'd like to see some random nonsense, how I worked that in, I don't know, you can click on the left video to see another episode of Pixelated Memories. Or if you want to see even more random nonsense, you can click on my gaming channel on the annotation on the right there, which will take you to, I don't know, whatever I decide to put up there. Special shout out goes to Benjamin Briggs for making the new intro and outro, and another huge thank you to the Quiggles, because without him, I wouldn't have had a theme tune to begin with. And thank you for watching.